The Uganda Virus Research Institute was established in 1936 by the Rockefeller Foundation to study yellow fever. Yellow fever is a disease that is spread by mosquitoes, and a lot of work was done here at the Institute to understand yellow fever. In the 50s, it became the East African Virus Research Institute and was working in the region, doing research in the region, until the East African community collapsed in the 1970s and 80s, and a lot of work really came to a standstill until in the 1980s, when there was some political stability and HIV came on, and the Institute became a reference lab for HIV. And since then, the Institute has expanded into, again, many other diseases.
My project is about preparing an inactivated COVID-19 vaccine for our population. I know that many other vaccines have been made, but specifically we are interested in a vaccine that is relevant here, which means it is based on circulating strains here and really based on those which are most resistant to vaccination. We are going to collect viruses from the population so that we can own the vaccine. Otherwise, if you used viruses from elsewhere, then you have to use other people's patents. Then we are growing that virus in our local conditions, and then we will inactivate it and use that to prepare a vaccine. We are going to test that vaccine in animal models to show that it is safe and effective, and then we'll do human trials. And then after that, it should be ready for GMP production to make stocks for the country.
In line with Buy Uganda and Build Uganda, we are making a broad-based vector owned by Uganda, and the plan is to patent this. After that, we shall use this Ugandan-developed and owned vector to develop vaccines of COVID-19 and other infectious pathogens. It is important to note that the global vaccine enterprise has been out of reach for Africans. Therefore, we are very grateful to the government of Uganda that has invested in this project.
Many times you hear we have an outbreak of Ebola, we have an outbreak of Marburg. It's us here at the Uganda Virus Research Institute who do the testing and provide information to the Ministry of Health that we have an outbreak of Marburg, an outbreak of Ebola, so that interventions can come about. But also to screen for potential new viruses. And that's why we were very ready when COVID came. We are the first institute that tested and said, now we have COVID, and we have done quite a lot on COVID, providing information on COVID, including sequencing the virus, providing information on the variants that we have on COVID.
My project is about in vitro therapeutic studies that study a lot of medicinal products from plants, trees, insects, different things. We study their in vitro capacity to kill viruses. There are several stages that we go through. We go through the basic science research, and from that we go into the preclinical studies. So the stage we are at is the preclinical stage, whereby we are studying these products within the lab and culturing in the cells to assess their antiviral capacity, their anti-inflammatory capacity, and their antibacterial capacity, of course, and also their cytotoxicity capacity.
When AIDS was recognized, the government was very open. Unlike other African countries, Uganda was open, invited many countries and partners to come and work with us on HIV. That's why now we have partners like the MRC, UVRI and London School, CDC, IAVI, the International AIDS Vaccine Initiative, in the USA, NIH. So we have worked together within these achievements.
We've been able to build a collaboration with Imperial College London, and from that collaboration I have gained a lot of skills and knowledge in vaccine design with that team in Imperial College. So I was able to design a vaccine against Rift Valley fever, So Rift Valley fever is a disease that affects both animals and humans, and it can cause mortality, death of animals and even humans. But the vaccines that are there for Rift Valley fever, they are not very safe, and the others that are safe are not very effective. So there is an ongoing research to develop a safer vaccine.
We have two end products, the vector and the COVID-19 vaccine itself. We have actually already generated products using Ugandan chimpanzee adenoviruses from Ngamba Island, Uganda Wildlife Education Center, and Hoima Forest Reserve. In terms of the vaccine itself, the spike gene of the prevalent Delta strain will be inserted into the vector by the end of this year. We are building critical mass and critical density of Ugandan African scientists, particularly the African woman in science, to engage in scientific discovery for a better Uganda. Our study is fully funded by the government of Uganda. I mean 100%. This is a unique venture because the African governments usually invest in healthcare delivery and rarely in discovery research. So far, we have received 9 major equipment for PCR, cloning, storage, and sterilization.
They've bought us quite a number of equipment, and it also has a capacity development part so that we train other people, Ugandans, how to make vaccines for the future. We got a lot of analyzers. We have readers for quantifying immune responses, and we have biosafety cabinets to make sure that the staff are working under safe conditions. We have received ultra-cold freezers and liquid nitrogen tanks to make sure that when we have our products, they are stored at the right conditions. We have incubators and shakers, which are necessary for growing of the viruses and growing them at the right conditions.
We know now, especially after COVID, that the human race is under threat with emerging and re-emerging infections, especially viruses. You have seen how COVID has really disturbed the whole world. We need to be prepared. So we should be the center in Uganda to prepare, to be ready. In case there is any suspected new viral infection, we should be there, understand it, and help the country to prevent further spread.
Our future plans are basically to buy Uganda and build Uganda. They are all centered around that. And our first approach is to enhance our capacity further for our scientific discovery for vaccine work. We hope to extend this beyond COVID-19 vaccine to also target other infectious diseases of viral origin. We are looking at building capacity for young scientists with particular emphasis on the African woman in science.
Well, the department is planning to design vaccines for other neglected tropical diseases because there are many diseases which don't have vaccines simply because those diseases don't happen regularly, and sometimes they only affect maybe particular regions like Sub-Saharan Africa.
Our future plans is to really continue with vaccine design, but also to use the population that we are working in to be able to tease out those people who can make very good antibodies so that we can use their cells to make more antibodies so that these can be used for treatment.
We are hoping to build or contribute to building a better Uganda that is self-reliant in key scientific areas of research and that is also collaborating well with the sister states in the East African region.
All that has to be really the future. We need to expand and strengthen it. And also strengthen our partnerships, because partnerships are important. Funding is key. Our work we do is very expensive. The government alone cannot do it. We want to train so that we have more scientists, middle-level scientists, who are going to be the futures, who are going to bring in money, who are going to build more capacity so that the institute really grows.